Rise and shine your light in opulence. My solution seekers, it's your girl, the spiritual activist, coming to you with another word, message, story, opinion, whatever on the Conscious Black Souls podcast. I wanted to get into the fundamentals of teaching. Okay, so what sparked this episode is my son. He started preschool back about, or daycare, whatever you want to call it, about a couple weeks ago. He was going for a while, then the pandemic stuff, and then I took him out, and I just kind of took it as a time to be with him for almost a year or whatever. It was a good while, maybe 9 months or so. But anyway, so I just decided to, I needed a peace of mind, and I wasn't judging myself or feeling guilty about it anymore. So I just put him in there despite not having a, full-time job. I'm just, trying to work on creating my own business and doing other things, working on my own mental health and, just finding myself again. So, I decided that for me, for my journey, this was the best thing for me to do. So I put it back in there, and recently he started saying something like, I'm bad. And I'm like, no, you're not bad. What are you talking about? And then he's like, all right, I'm going to time out, or I put my head down, or just a whole bunch of little things. And, I don't want to jump to what they doing to my baby, because a lot of times we get to this mentality where we want to victimize our children, especially young Black men, because of the conditioning that we have and the experiences and the things that we see on TV. So, but I wanted to come from a very objective place, because I don't want to project my own feelings into him either, because that's only going to perpetuate this idea that the world's against you and you're always going to be the victim and you're never going to be able to be seen for who you really are. So, I'm just like, no, you're not bad, buddy. Your teachers love you. They're just trying to teach you things that, to help you learn and to, make you grow and stuff like that. So, but I don't know if he's just obsessed with it too, because kids are kids and we can think deeper about stuff, and sometimes it's just like, hey, it's just fun to be bad. It's just more fun to just be bad and just do things that we are labeling as bad, but it's really just like, oh, okay, I'm just experimenting with life. I'm just playing with this. I like to make a mess. I like to, but we, in our minds, we've labeled it bad because it's something that we don't like, or it's something that we think we don't like. Like sometimes we make things a bigger deal than what it really is, and we have our own germophobia or OCD that we project onto our kids. Like, okay, so now you're making a mess, and that's so bad because I have this issue with things being unorganized. It's really not that bad. It's just that that's your personal preference, that you want everything in tip-top shape, and not realizing that these are kids and they're not gonna just sit up here and play with stuff in a neat, organized. Did you play with stuff like that when you was a kid? Sometimes you have to go back to when you were a kid and think about, okay, did I play with my blocks and keep all the blocks in this corner, keep all the balls in this corner? No, you didn't. I know for a fact I didn't. I was so spoiled when it came to playing. I remember me and my cousin, this is going to be a little weird, but we actually poured like salt and water all over the floor as kids and just rolled all around it. I feel like we were naked, but I'm not sure, but we were, we were probably not even in school yet, but, and we called it naked monkeys. And these are the weird, crazy things that I did, and it's kind of embarrassing, but oh well, I want to share it because it's like, I know kids did all kind of crazy stuff when they were kids, and ain't no shame in my game. But anywho, so it's just like, I just want to be objective about it, but I did, voice my concern to the owner or whatever, and he's like, no, I said, I know he has a lot of energy and he likes to fight and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, he hits the kids sometimes. I said, but he's very smart, so he understands if you tell him about boundaries and like respecting people's body and different kind of stuff like that. Just talk to him and stuff and see. He's like, yeah, we talked to him. He understand. It's like, sometimes I feel like owners and stuff like that, they don't want to tell you the real deal, because I've been in the preschool system, so I know what it is. They train you to not truly be honest with the parent because they feel like they can't handle the truth, and to me, that dishonesty is not going to get to to cultivate a actual space where that child can like grow and like flourish, because we're not trying to get to a real solution. We're masking it and putting on this persona that everything is fine, and really this teacher is struggling. And this is why teachers carry so much stress, and their work is jeopardized. Their quality of work is jeopardized because they're not getting the support that they need, because these directors are thinking about, oh, this parent not gonna be able to handle the truth, so they're gonna pull their kid out and I'm gonna lose that money, so we just gonna lie to them and let this teacher have to deal with it. Like, the system is so effed up. It's like, man, like, just give these teachers the proper training to understand how to do behavioral management, to understand that, to see the children for who they are. But I'm digressing because I don't want to, I have that down in my list. So, but going a little bit more into my own experience, but a little bit more into my son. So the way my son is so smart. I mean, I know every parent is kind of biased about their own child, but to me, he is extremely smart. He's been talking since, I don't know, probably 9 months. He's very articulate to me, because I never really did too much baby talk. I mean, sometimes I do, but when it came to conversation, I just talked to him regular. And I feel like that did kind of help uh, form his speaking. And so he's very compassionate, very sweet, very loving. If you just see him on a playground, he'll ask, if he see a kid crying, he's like, you want to play with us? Or if he sees a kid coughing, he will go to their back and pat them on the back and walk them to their mom. These are things I've seen from my own eyes. Like, he is such a light. But he also has a balance. He can be rough. He can he can fight with you too. Like, and that's what I like. It's that balance of that, they're soft and hard, like that masculine, feminine energy. Like, that's what I want for him. I don't want him to feel like he has to be one way to be considered a man, and knowing that he can be in tune with his emotions and his feelings and still be, manly, or whatever he want to identify with, or whatever. So, but he does have a lot of energy, and maybe that's because, he gets good sleep and he's not eating just the most horrible diet. I mean, not saying that he just full-fledged plant-based either, but I try not to give him just bad food all the time. I try to balance it. You can have a little candy, but you need to eat some salad, or you need to eat some of this or that. So drink a lot of water, all these things. I'm trying to give him the best, how can I say, vessel to carry him along on his journey. And so with that, he can be difficult for someone who is, who has to stay with him or be with him all day long, or because, you have a whole class and he may be having a lot more energy than the rest of the students. So that can be a challenge. I've done it. I've had 20 something kids by myself at some times, in the school system. I've had kids who I know were on the spectrum and who were not given the care that they needed, and who were put in my class who should have not even been in that preschool setting without, like, someone with them to help me out. Like, I've seen it all. I've had students with serious behavior issues, self-harming behaviors, and to me, people may think, whatever, man, you tripping. I don't feel like children are bad. This label that we give them, bad, hyper, ADHD, all these things, I feel like it's a lack of, how can I say, being on the bottom end of the spectrum. Like, children are on the bottom, women are at the bottom, and then you add race and other socioeconomic statuses in there, you get lower and lower. But the point is sometimes there's not a lot out there, and the will to care to actually seek solution is not there. Like, that's why a lot of things go misdiagnosed in minorities or women or children, because it's kind of like, oh, they're fine, or yada, yada, yada. So there's no will to really understand, to me, like, children. Yes, there's child psychology, but it's like, I don't know, are the people who are actually doing the research, do they truly love children? How do they see them? Like, how do you see children through your eyes? Like, is there true compassion and love for them? And because what we're labeling as bad or hyper, maybe it's just our fact that we are not capable of dealing with their energies. Maybe what we're going through, the chaos in our inner worlds, the chaos in our mind, the stress within our lives is making it hard for us to handle them. Because for me, that was the case. The fact of my own frustration and my own life, I was doing what's called displacement, which is kind of like when you you're so stressed, like your boss is yelling at you and getting on you and this and that. And so you come home and you start yelling at your kids and yelling at your spouse, and you don't even realize that you're not really mad about the dirty dishes. You're really mad about what your boss said to you today. And you know what I'm saying? Or you're not really mad about the mess on the floor. You just at a point where you're too frustrated and you can't focus on, you can't handle this mess today. And not being aware of those things, makes you see it as the problem is your spouse, the problem is your child, when really the problem is us, the teachers, what we're going through as humans, because we forget, because we have these labels and we have these roles and jobs that we think that that's what we are. We're this robot. We're this thing. You're the teacher. You're the clerk. You're the cashier. Not you're a human with this job. Because behind that badge, behind that uniform, behind that whatever, you are a person with feelings, with your own issues. And people think that you can become a robot, and just because you clock in that you are able to put those things aside, and not realizing that those things do come out in your work. These are things that we need to be looking at, and these are things why there needs to be more therapy for teachers. There needs to be more acknowledgement for teachers. There needs to be more support for teachers, because they are actually laying the groundwork for the foundation of these young minds. The fundamentals of teaching is very important to me, because I feel like it has fallen between the cracks. When you think about teaching, it's not just school. Teaching is literally in every moment of your life. Learning is literally in every moment of your life. Like I was telling my nieces, I was like, you want to be a teacher? I said, to be honest, me and your mom are teachers. Every day your mom teaches you something. So don't think because, if you don't want to be a scientist anymore, don't think, oh, now I want to be a teacher. You can be a scientist and be a teacher. When you're training your, the people in the lab, you're teaching. If you work at McDonald's, you're teaching. When you're training your new staff, you're teaching. These are ways that you add meaning into your life for where you're at right now. You may think your job has no meaning, but every day when you're teaching some life lesson to somebody, to some young kid who walking out, they got something going on, and you give them their advice, and you're teaching them something. You're sharing your experience that may be sparking something within themselves. You can add meaning to your life in the smallest, minute ways possible. That you could think of. But my experience as a teacher, I had to deal with so much, and I didn't get the support, and I loved children and I loved what I did, but it started to dwindle, and I started to resent my job, and I started to not put forth what I wanted to in these children's lives, because the ownership didn't care about the kids as much, to me, in my perspective. I felt like they never gave us the real support. They wanted us to lie to parents. They wanted us to not be realistic, and they wanted, just, oh, yeah, we'll care about you, until, everything was, I didn't care until corporate came. Then it's like, now put on the smile. Let's do some quick training, all this stuff. And I'm like, no, I've been telling you, I've been complaining to you about this, because I actually I care about these kids, and I'm putting a lot into it. I'm going above and beyond what you give me. I'm going above and beyond this curriculum. I'm going deeper, and I'm cultivating some actual stress management, behavioral management, love. When I discipline my kids, when I would discipline them and give them consequences, right after that, it's a hug. It's a, I love you. It's a, I'm proud of you. And I'm reinforcing a behavior that I want to see. I'm not just pointing out. When the child only hears, no, stop, don't do this, don't do that, all that negatives, what do you think they're going to internalize? What do you think they're going to take that as? That all they hear out of your mouth is frustration, anger, and, negativity. You're never saying, oh, wow, I like the way you shared that, buddy. Or, oh, good job, sweetie. Good. I like the way you waited your turn. There's a lot of lack of knowledge in how to communicate with children. And we can learn a lot from communicating with children, because you can use these things in adult life. That compassion, that patience, teaching the skills that we may not have had as children. These are things that you can use throughout your lifetime. And I'm a true believer in that, holding that space for kids, and just really trying to cultivate an environment where their young minds can flourish. Like with my son, he has a lot of energy. I'm not going to deny that, but I will never label him as anything other than that. He's active and he has a lot of energy. Me being able to deal with it is my issue, not his. And so, I teach him boundaries. I teach him about balance. I teach him about knowing when enough is enough. I teach him about respecting other people's bodies and free will, and asking people, hey, you want to play this game? You want to fight me? You want to play fight? Okay, you have to ask me to play fight, because you can't just walk up and start punching me and fighting me. No. Or you want me to catch you? You want to jump? You need to ask, like, I'm not prepared. This can happen. Or, hey, it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to use your hands to hurt people. Like, these are basic things that a lot of parents don't even know how to communicate. It's more just like, stop, don't do that. Keep your hands yourself. And it's just like, it's all about, you're still perpetuating and not getting out of the way that you were raised. Not saying that everything that the way you were raised was wrong, or traditional is wrong, but it's just that have an open mind that you can learn a little bit more. My experiences in teaching and doing ABA therapy with children with autism has given me the tools to use and pick and choose the things that I like that work for me and my son. Like, for me, honestly, when my son know I'm serious when I start counting, when I'm like 1, 2, I don't even got to get to 2 sometimes, and it's like, and that's okay. I don't care what anyone says. Like, yes, there's positive parenting, but there also are traditions, and that's my balance. Like, I love him and I talk to him and I get on his level, and I give him talks and or discipline, but I also, when it get down to, hey, you're not listening in this way, then I'm not feeling guilty by going to this other way. You know what I'm saying? So that's just that balance of, okay, yes, you can use this positive parenting and talking and loving, nurturing, but it's also a balance of, okay, now I'm laying down on the ground. Now it's a tough love. Now you not taking me serious in this way. I don't have to beat you, but I can still give you more stern, more seriousness, more knowing that, hey, you finna get a consequence if you can't listen to me in this way. But my son does understand, and he does listen when sometimes children want to know why. How many of his kids wanted to know more explanation, and your parents are like, because I say so, because I'm grown, that's why, or you just didn't get the answer that you really wanted. Sometimes it's okay that your child asks why. For me, it's okay if my child asks me why. I want you to ask me questions, because now I know how your mind is working. Like, I understand why you don't feel like, or why you're behaving this way, because you really don't understand why you shouldn't. Sometimes just because we tell somebody not to do this, and think about if somebody just told you, hey, don't walk over here. You're going to be a little curious. Can you tell me why? No, just don't do it. Like, think about that. Like, it's the same thing with kids. That's why I say sometimes we think just because they're kids, they think they realize that they're kids. No, they see themselves as little humans. And so we need to see them as little humans, little adults, because at the end of the day, so are we. We still little kids. We trying to be grown out here, but we really not. We still got the mind of a child. We still throw tantrums. We still get mad. We still do stomping and cross our arms and roll our eyes and snap our necks. We act like big old kids. So we need to do the same thing and have the same respect and cultivate actual learning, the actual tools that they will need as adults, and not just cast them off as they're just kids. They're at the bottom of the barrel. Like, who's fighting for them? They're oppressed too. If you ask me, we can fight for, black rights, women's rights, every other right. Reading the book All About Love by Bell Hooks it's opened up my eyes a lot too. And it's like, these are things I always felt, but it's like, it just kind of brings it all together, with my own personal experiences. And with reading this book, it's true. Like, no one really realizes that the neglect and the abuse, and you can't try to match those up with love. Love is a choice, and you need to choose it every day to, have this love ethic that she talks about. Have this some sense of moral standard for the love that you give to people. But I'm all about love. That's just me. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I don't believe in holding on to those types of energies, because I don't think it's good for me or anybody else. I don't really think it brings about good change, but that's just my feelings and my spirit. Maybe certain oppressions and struggles and fears can spark someone else to fuel the fight in them. But for me, it's more despair or hopelessness or frustration, and I don't like to hold on to that. I choose to fight my fight with giving people the tools that I think could actually help them within their world, because like I always say, you can't change anyone else. Only thing you can do is change yourself and educate the other people, And that's why I say teaching is important, to educate with compassion. But let me get into what I feel before this video gets too long. I'm trying to keep it under 30 minutes, but I don't think it'll even be that long. But basically, let me get into what I feel are necessary to cultivate a space for young minds to flourish. The fundamentals of teaching for me. First of all, obviously, love, unconditional love. Unconditional love to me is accepting people and children for where they are. Like, this is about young minds, and all the way from preschool, infant, all the way from the infant room to freaking college. These young minds are the future. And you really have to cherish that and see that for what it is. That see that for the, how can I say it? Like the severity, like how serious that is. This is going to be our future. We need to be focusing on these little children and this youth or whatever. My next one kind of goes to, along with the unconditional, is non-judgment. A safe space to ask questions. How many of you as kids felt like you couldn't ask too many questions? Because I even know as a parent, my son like, why, or mommy this or mommy that. Yes, I love when he asks why, but I'm still a human, and sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, can I watch this show? Or dang, I'm gonna answer your question a little bit. Or man, I can't answer all these questions right now. I'm not in that space right now, and that's okay. So, but how many of you were told these things in a way that really made you internalize, like, man, it's not a safe space to ask questions. Like, don't be asking me no more questions. Go in your room. I don't want to hear nothing else, because your parents are going through their own issues. And I'm not saying this is a reflection of my childhood, but I just know I've seen it from other parents and other things. But it's like sometimes these are the reactions we get. And we internalize this as, okay, I can't ask questions. So I'm just stuck in my head to assume. I'm just stuck in my head to imagine. I'm just stuck in my head to come to my own conclusions as a little kid. With this imagination, I'm just stuck in my head to go and seek refuge from someone else who could be detrimental to my experience. This is why I feel like laying the foundation in parenting and teaching is important, because you want to give them the tools to build their own house and not go out and seek the tools from somebody else when the tools from somebody else are going to be setting them up for failure. You need to create that foundation from love and all the things that you feel like they would need to keep them strong and be able to handle the trials and tribulations that they are going to go through in their own journeys. Don't send them running to somebody else. Have that patience and to cultivate that strength within themselves, that self-sufficiency. A lot of times I feel like we're not teaching self-sufficiency, and that's why we become so codependent and so, gullible and naive, and just, needing this validation from everyone else because we didn't get enough of it from within our own environments. And that goes right into my next one, which was validation and feelings of, of not having shame or guilt for anything. How many of you have felt clown for asking a question like, you dumb, bro? Like, you don't know that? Or how you don't know this? Or what kind of person are you? Just all these negative reactions we internalize as well sometimes. And it's like just knowing who you are and know, what, I'm at a point where I don't care. Ain't no shame in my game. A person may try to make you feel dumb for not knowing something. I don't care. I don't know. Like, I swear I have no shame about not knowing something. People try to make you feel dumb for not knowing something. And I'm like, bro, you didn't know either. You probably don't know right now. That's why you trying to act like I'm dumb for not knowing. I ain't even finna tell you. I ain't even finna explain to you, bro. Like, you mean to tell me you don't know? I be want to say, nigga, you don't. You saying that because you don't know. You can't tell me. That's why. But it's like, these are the things we do, all these defense mechanisms, like trying to play and like, take the mask off, man. Like, I don't know the answer. I don't know this. I don't know that. Like, that's okay. And it's not that big of a deal. Just, do you know the answer? Not. If not, all right, bye. Like, all this extra stuff we be doing to make people feel embarrassed or ashamed, or like what's the purpose? Are we coming to any solutions? Are we getting any answers right now? No, we're not. My next one, a a little therapy skills, the ability to hold space, like being able to know that teaching is more than just teaching this curriculum, teaching what's out of this book. It's going to be a little deeper than that. Kids have actual lives too. They have actual struggles, and you don't know what kind of lifestyle, what kind of environment they're going back home to. So the ability to give them a little therapy, hold space for them if they need to just cry, being able to do that from any age. My next one, how to enforce boundaries and respect for others, their free will and their space. This is something I pride myself a lot in with my teaching with my son. Like, I let him be, but when it come down to, okay, are you touching somebody else? Are you hitting somebody else? Are you, forcing them to do something that they don't want to do, or, coercing them to do something? Now, these are things that I teach him, like, okay, you need to respect. Obviously, they said no. No means no. No is a complete sentence. When someone's telling you no, you need to listen to that. These types of things. Or, I don't like that. When you hit me, that hurts me. That makes me feel angry. And I don't want to feel angry to you. So listen to me right now. Like, I'm telling you no. These are things that I try to put in his head. Of course, he's only 3. So, yeah, he's going to still do the things. And I have patience with him. But I recognize my own triggers as well. I'm still a human. But, just teaching them that, because he's going to have to realize, and sometimes allow him to get the consequences. Okay, you want to go over there? I've told you 3 times not to hit. Now I'm going to let you go over there and hit them. And when they hit you back, I'm going to tell you, I told you, when you do that, this could be a possible consequence. This is the consequence of your actions. And teaching him valuable things like your words have meaning. If you say, no, don't do this, you're not going to keep playing me back and forth. Okay, now do it. Okay, no, I don't want you to do it. No, you said, no, don't do it. So now I'm not going to do it. And then when you cry and whine about it, I'm going to tell you no, because your words have power. Your words have meaning. These are things that kids need to understand. People hold kids on a short, how can I say, like, a low standard. Like, we think that they don't have the capability to learn these big messages. Maybe not to the extent that we can understand them, but trust me, they are registering all this information the same way we were registering all the low, the tools that we didn't want to get. The same way we were registering all the knowledge that, didn't help us, is the same way they can register the knowledge that will help them. Consistency. That's another one. Having a consistency, not giving up, and not losing hope and faith. Sometimes we feel defeated as teachers, as parents, that, man, I'm not getting the support I want. Just keep going. Just don't give up. And that goes into another one I had where it says, like, just setting the intentions. Ask yourself, why did you get into this in the first place? Why did you have children in the first place? My intentions are for change, or for growth, to help these children flourish, evolve. That like keeping your prayers and your intentions strong, and always grounding in that when your foundation feels a little shaky. Okay, next, self-accountability. No, realizing that sometimes it's just you, it's not these kids. Maybe you had a bad day, maybe you had a bad night. Realizing that and not taking that, or you're going to take it with you, but just having that awareness so that you're not projecting that onto your kids, or you're not blaming them for something you're going through within your inner world. And also having self-love. You have to be good yourself, and really love yourself, and know your worth, and know that you are making a difference in these kids' lives, no matter how challenging it may be. This is the thing. The way I reframed my parenting is that, and life and challenges overall, is that these are just challenges. They're going to teach me some kind of lesson if I allow it. It's not a bad day. It's just a challenging moment. Meaning, moment means temporary. You're going to get through it just like an emotion. It's going to go in waves. Sometimes it's going to be good moments. Sometimes it's going to be bad. Have that self-love and know that you're a worthy person. You're a loving person. Okay? Keep going. Keep pushing. Next, not having that prejudice or stereotypical or resentful bitterness towards people. Like, believe it or not, sometimes we carry our own conditioning, and I'm just going to be real. Some people may actually say, okay, here's this mixed kid, and they treat this mixed kid worse than a full black kid, because they feel like in the world, the mixed kid get privileges. The black kid is going to be given his hand of more, more doors closed. So I'm going to open the doors for this black one more than this mixed one, because they going to get it. The world going to be more easy. And believe it or not, people have these mentalities. This is not pulling out the crack of my butt. Like, And so you have to realize your own biases, your own judgments, prejudices, and conditioning, and try to stay grounded in fairness, and that you're not being an oppressor yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that you're not being a hypocrite yourself. Okay, so this video is going to be over 30 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, just being mindful, that awareness, that accountability. Next, actually having a balance between tough love and nurturing love, through discipline. Like I said, when I used to get down on my one knee and hold my little child's shoulders in my classroom, and I would talk to them with a soft, loving tone. And I would tell them, why this is wrong and why they have to think about their choices. I didn't call it timeout. We would say, you need to go think about it. And then once they thought about it for 1 or 2 minutes, I would go over there and get on their level, talk to them and break it down and let them know that I still love them, and I would give them a hug. These are ways that I did it. But, sometimes I would have to say, you know what, Connor, Jackson, Ashley, whatever, I'm going to count to 3 and you need to come over here right now. We're doing this. We're doing that. Okay. You're so tired. Okay. You're tired, huh? Okay. Well, guess what? When we go outside, you're going to be tired. Oh, no. I'm not tired. Oh, okay. Hey, sometimes that black mama got to come out because, oh, you tired, huh? You tired to do circle time. Well, guess what? You tired to go outside. And I'm just keeping it real. That's what I'm saying. It's a balance, but they know I love them. And guess what? Right after I would say that, I love you. I know, buddy. I love you too. I know, sweetie, I love you too. They know what's up. Kids also test, but they're testing how much you love them. How much are you going to put into them? It's not a test like they trying to make mad. They know what they doing. No, they freaking don't. They're copying whatever behaviors they see. They're sponges. They model behavior. That's how we learn as humans. We always want to think kids know exactly what they're doing. Okay, if they do, they learned it from you. They learned their behavior from you. They're reflections of you. Take that accountability. That gives you a lot of patience. Knowing that my son is impatient because of me gives me a lot more patience with him. It makes me fight harder to not be so impatient. But anywho, so yeah, that balance. Next, compassion for the child's life and struggles. I kind of talked about that earlier, knowing that they actually have their own lives and challenges. Just because they're kids, don't think that kid may go home to no food, to abusive parent, to a drunk parent, to being invisible at home. You don't know what they're dealing with. So I remember one of my students told me, he literally came to me. He was about probably 10. He came to me and apologized because he was like, I'm sorry I got mad. My mom and dad, they're just always on their phone with work. And I don't get it. They don't never listen to me. So when you didn't hear me, I felt like you weren't listening to me. Like it was roughly like that. I don't remember word for word, but it was like, man, that made me have so much compassion for him. And like, that made me sad. Like I feel sorry for him, but I was like, it's okay, buddy. I'm here. And thank you for coming to me and telling me that. I appreciate you apologizing. These are things that I saw as a teacher. They are little humans. See them for that. I want us to transcend the conditioning of seeing children as burdens or just like we brought them into this world. They didn't actually be brought into this world. My next one that goes, I kind of talked about that, patience. And also right after that, anger management. These are kind of self-explanatory. Find ways to manage your anger, but also knowing that you can hold space for that anger. That anger is okay to have sometimes, but find ways to manage it so that it's not always in this triggered reaction. It's not always when the steam doesn't hit the kettle, or the nail or the straw that broke the camel's back. It's not after you've gotten so much beaten or so much pressure that now it just explodes. No, get ahead of the anger. Everything is about staying ready so you ain't got to get ready. Everything's about being in the driver's seat. Everything's about getting ahead of it so that it's not controlling you. You're controlling it. When you are giving yourself space to be angry, you're controlling it. I'm allowing this energy to be right now so that I know that in a minute it's going to be over. It's only temporary. But yeah, do whatever you can. Sometimes I like to run or walk or go outside in that sun, get that vitamin D. Do different things. Watch a funny TV show. Listen to some gospel music or some funny music, or I mean not funny music, or some ratchet music. Whatever, man. Do whatever floats your boat. Go boxing, whatever. That's a good one. Another one, being human and allowing your realistic emotions to have space. I just kind of said that you're allowed to feel too. You are human, not going into work acting like with the mask of teacher. Jobs need to stop making people put their issues to the side, in a sense. Like, yes, obviously don't go in there raging, but the more you tell a person not to feel, the more you tell a person you are not to have emotions and you're supposed to be this robot, the more that it becomes dysfunctional and the more that they can't function. But if you allow a person, hey, I need a break. I need to go step out. I'm going through something right now. All right, let me cover you. You're allowed that. Not feeling guilty. You're at work now. You can't be this way. You need to be professional. Oh, Lord, that word professional be getting on my nerves. What is professional? Can somebody tell me? Like, what is professional? Robot? No motions, no feelings? Like, rest and bitch face? Like, what is it? Like, I don't know. Fake. To me, that's what it sounds like. Hi, good morning. Welcome to the yada, yada, yada. How can I help you? Even though you just lost one of your loved ones. Like, no, like, I just don't understand it. Like, it's just, to me, it's how can I say? It's destructive to the human experience, to me, by feeling like you cannot feel when you're in the workplace. But anyway, there's ways that you can manage it and handle it and be professional, quote unquote, without this idea or ideal of what professional is. Next one, be fun. Have a sense of humor. When I tell you, if them walls can talk in my classroom, I would have been had a crazy chick. Like, because me and my the teacher who I worked with, we would act a fool with them kids. Kids love when you act childlike with them. Let their inner child out. Do nothing without intention. Like, we would do this song called what was that song? Silly Willies. Oh my God. It's so fun. Like, if you can find it, play it, dance with your child, do all the little funny faces, quack like a duck, walk around, make funny noises. We would like let the kids ride on our back like animals. Like, we would do all kind of stuff, just acting like crazy silly. When we would go outside, they knew outside is where you can let all that energy out. Scream as loud as you. I know some teachers that don't even let their kids like run or scream when they're outside. When do you want them to release this energy? You sit down on the square on a triangle for 3 hours. You can't do it. You can stay in order for 50 hours. Like, think about how you are at work when you got to sit at that desk. That's irritating. You want to get up and move and stretch your legs too. Just because we have been so conformed to it, we think that that's the norm. No, it's not the norm. That's not human. We're not designed to just be so bound up for hours on end. When we would go outside, soon as we hit that door, they knew they could just scream to the top of their lungs. And so with that allowance, they had more discipline and more structure when we came in, because they needed the balance of the routine and the structure along with the freedom to be wild and crazy and let all that energy out. We would act like monsters and chase them and rah, rah, or do what I call lazy tag. Any parent know what this is. When you really not chasing them, you really just making that one little step forward and you reaching that arm out and you reach that other arm out, but you ain't. They done ran around the playground about 3 times and you ain't made it about 2 steps. But that's what I call not laser tag, lazy tag. But anyway, yeah, like just playing with them. I would have so much fun in that sun, just chasing those little kids, seeing their faces and just like them laughing and all this other kind of stuff, and just teaching them lessons of while we're playing. Hey, watch out. You got to know how to dodge. It's called dodging. Don't make sure you don't run into that. Or watch them. They're learning motor skills. Everything I did has some how can I say, like a multitask to it, like a double purpose. Like, it was deeper than just playing. They were still learning lessons. Oh, okay, they ran into each other. Now let me stop and let me have this teachable moment. Every moment was teachable for me. Just have fun, laugh, be silly. Like it makes you feel good too. It makes the job more fun when you can say, I get to go with my kids today. We finna have fun. We finna have a ball. You know what I mean? And so My next one going into being objective, not necessarily influential, like putting all your biases on them. Like be mindful that, like I was kind of talking about earlier, that with the mixed kid and the kid that's not mixed, or maybe favoring the guys more than the girls, or maybe kind of being aware that your mind has biases in it. We all have sexist thoughts, how can I say, racist thoughts, prejudice thoughts, um, um, patriarchal thoughts. Like we are one mind. These thoughts run in all of our heads, and being aware of them is how you are going to be ahead of them, and so that you are not projecting them onto the kid. Maybe you won't let the girls do something because you think it's too rough, but you allow the boys to do it because there's this conditioning with boys and girls. Or the girl is labeled as a tomboy, but the boy is just a boy. Like these are things that you have to be, that you can be mindful of, and so that you're not putting your biases onto them, or what you allow one kid to get away with, you're not allowing this kid to get away with for whatever reason or label, or you've given this child, like just these types of things, and just being mindful of it. And the end is, you need to have a actual love for children. Not just, oh yeah, they all right, I like them, whatever. No, do you actually like them? Do you actually love them? Like, you need to love children and love what you do, seeing them for the blessing and the miracles that they are. Ask yourself, why were you called into teaching in the first place? Like, what is it that makes you motivated to help these little beings or bigger beings? Like I said, from all the way from infant room in the daycare all the way to college, 18. The mind doesn't stop. We are still students, because that 18-year-old that you may be teaching may have never had a teacher to cultivate something within them that was meaningful. You may be the one person that sparks and starts their whole actual learning cycle. As Black people, reading the post-traumatic slave syndrome, one thing that stood out to me that I liked is how she broke down how learning is different for like us, and we do need meaning. My son needs love. He needs for us to respect. We need to feel like there's meaning behind what we're learning. When you give them love, when you show them that you actually respect them and that you love them, it's a two-way street, and that goes for children. Sometimes we think respect is only a two-way street for adults. No, it goes the same for children. You need to respect your children as well. Like, I have that understanding that, they deserve meaning and love, and they flourish better in school that way. When you make it interesting, when you make your curriculum not so boring, and not bland. Just like we don't like our food bland, we add a little flavor, add a little sauce to the curriculum, to the maybe make it a song. When I tell you, we made everything a song, everything. This is the way you wash your hands, and then I get to beatboxing in there. Like, add your flavor. And they would like it. Oh, Miss Fontino, I like when you do that. Like, boy, I loved my kids. It's so funny. And the parents love me too. They knew when they dropped their kids off, that child was in a safe space. I loved it, I love that kid. And boy, Christmas time showed it. When I tell you, I had about 30 presents. It pays off sometimes. Look, no, let me stop. But it's more than just, the rewards. But that's great too. Get your reinforcement. You need reinforcement too. As adults, we need reinforcement. We have love languages. Parents, get those teachers gifts too sometimes. Like, get them a little $5 Starbucks card. Get them a cup of donuts. Do stuff to show appreciation. That teacher appreciation week need to be all year long. Like, I love the holidays that we set aside, like, Valentine's, teacher appreciation, but I have my love and hate for it, because sometimes people think that's the only time that you can do something, and that's the only time we go break the bank and, do it for this consumerism and all this other kind of stuff. But, show appreciation in different ways too. Like, do it year round. Maybe it's a little card. Maybe it's a mug. Maybe anything. Maybe it's just your kid drew a picture for them and you like, oh, such and such little Johnny wanted to, bring you something. They drew something at home for you. Believe it or not, me as a teacher, I love those types of things. That sentimental value is priceless. Create a declaration, create a teacher's prayer that every morning when you go into work, know that you are doing something for these kids. As any, and not just like I said, it's not a teacher in school, a teacher in any environment. When you go to work, you're teaching somebody something that day. That's how you give your life meaning. Did someone leave you better than they was before they came to you? Or did they leave you depleted and sad and miserable? How are people leaving you? Are you shining your light? Are you giving them something valuable? Are you giving them something that they can use to help them throughout their moment, throughout their day? But I'm going to end that off, guys. Fundamentals of teaching. If you have any other things, I don't know how this form is going to work, but I want to make it to where it becomes interactive eventually. But, cultivate on these. Sit on these thoughts. Think about these things. As always, someone who cares, a spiritual activist, peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving them. Keep God first. I love you guys. Peace out. Still trying to figure out if I'm going to call this Confessions of a Preschool Teacher or pet peeves of a preschool teacher. Either way, it's all part of the diary of a conscious black soul. And that conscious black soul is me and whoever else I put on this platform. But, there's so many things in life that as you awaken, and awakening, a lot of the words have been overused, and it kind of makes it, people are playing with the spiritual awakening and they're kind of like making fun of it. And I was there at that point too, but be mindful of people trying to make something seem, how can I say, like frivolous or something, so that you think it's a joke, or because there are people who actually are like mentally losing their minds, or may seem like they're in this ethereal or la la land or fantasy world. But believe it or not, there's a lot of truth to some things. And even though a person may not be grounded, don't think that they don't, that they just don't have no sense all the time. And then people who are losing themselves, instead of making fun of them, try to see if they need help and try to do the best you can to give them the help that they need, because there are a lot of people out there who do not have any proper spiritual guidance and who need people like me who actually have a pure heart, who are trying to get them into a place of empowerment. You know what I'm saying? But let me get to the topic of this video before I, start the preaching. But anyway, so yeah, confessions and pet peeves of a teacher. Okay, everybody knows, well, not everybody, but preschool teachers can relate to this. We know how chaotic and crazy it can get, and we know how management and corporations, put a lot of pressures and demands on us as teachers. They want us to be magicians, and sometimes those pressures are from our superiors, and sometimes they're just pressures we put on ourselves as perfectionists or recovering people pleasers. But ultimately, like my new little saying that I got from a combination of my husband's thing about pressure bust pipes and something else I read, but pressure also makes diamonds. So pressure bust pipes and pressure bust diamonds. You have to choose if you're going to let the life make you or break you. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of the idea that, yeah, there are a lot of stressors and stuff in this world, and there are going to be a lot of failures, but it's like we have to continue to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. We have to continue to get comfortable with the failure. We have to continue to get comfortable and embrace the chaos and the work that comes into it. Nothing, I don't want to say nothing, but a lot of things worth having, and they didn't come just easily. They didn't fall into our laps. I know for some people it may have, but just because it fell into someone's lap doesn't mean that they know how, they have a capability to keep it. So believe it or not, your journey of work and really literally getting it out the mud, that's going to be like what gives you the strength to maintain that. The fact that you know where you don't want to go back to. How many people have lived with their parents as an adult and then moved out and got their own place, and later on they were like, bro, I don't care what I gotta do. I'm not going back to my parents' house. That's not going to be what I do. Or, just anything. Like, think of the things that you didn't like being in, the spaces you didn't like being in, the times, the phases in your life that you didn't like being in, and how they motivate you to avoid those situations from ever happening again. And even investors, a lot of times investors don't even want to work with nobody who has never failed before, who has never had a business fail, because at the end of the day, we all know that humans learn best from experiences. You're going to learn better to not run when you fall versus you've never fallen before. You know what I'm saying? But that moment you knock your head off or scrape your knee up to the white meat, that's when you're going to learn, oh, I'm not going to run no more. But that's just like just a little metaphor or whatever you want to call it, analogy. I don't know. I get them mixed up. But anyway, just the idea to kind of put into perspective the idea of how you take challenges and struggles and make them as fuel. And I kind of just posted a post about using your fear as fuel. But once again, I'm not talking about what I'm supposed to be talking about. But that's why my podcast is a little different from other people. It's more of a diary that people can listen to and get insight and wisdom from experiences, the divine downloads that I get from my experiences, and based on if they could be relatable to them or not. But yeah, I posted a video a while back about why black men can't heal. Actually, no, that's not what this video is about. Sorry, I'm mixing up. I'm supposed to be doing a video for motherhood, and I'm stepping off the rails. This video is about teaching. I told y'all this real raw and uncut. I thought I was playing. But anyway, so I was just thinking about teaching. And I'm a preschool teacher. And there's some things that really are pet peeves of teachers. And it's not just me. I've talked to several teachers before and had conversations. And everybody vents, or what people want to sometimes call complaining. But everybody vents when they're in circumstances or situations in life that they really get on the nerves. And to be honest with you, it doesn't mean that they don't want to be there. You can complain about your job every day, but sometimes you just need to get that off your chest. And it don't mean that you're not grateful for your job. It doesn't mean you don't like it. But so in times of, me and teachers have vented about work, I found that there's several things that we have in common, like pet peeves. And the pet peeves, one thing is, please stop coming into the classroom, ramping up a classroom that is in order. Sometimes, boy, I tell you, I don't know if it's God, the universe, spirit, whatever. There's so many things in life that happen to test your patience and to test your authenticity. And it don't mean go off the deep end, but sometimes you just need to speak up for yourself, and God gonna keep pushing you, and spirit gonna keep pushing you and tempting you with things, and keep putting stuff on you until you speak up sometime. But there's been several times when I've had my class sit it down, quiet, we doing listen, and some teacher or some administrator comes in and hey, get it. And I'm like, bro, you don't see I'm trying to teach? Don't come here with all that. I'm so serious. They'll come in there with all that noise, getting them all riled up, and oh, I'm sorry, did I get it? And then, or another one, when you have a kid that's very difficult, and you know that teacher's happy that they ain't in their class no more. They done moved up to your class, and then they come in your class and for whatever reason, or they see them outside playing, sometimes the playgrounds are adjacent to each other, side by side. And they're like, oh, hi, Billy. Oh, I give me all this stuff. I love you. Or if they come in the infant room, all the babies crying, but they what's wrong? What's wrong? What you mean, what's wrong? I'm not going to lie. What that does to me is make me feel like you kind of trying to question, what am I doing that's making them cry like that? They don't cry like that with every other teacher. Or it's stop trying to act like you really like these kids in that way when really you don't want to deal with them either. It's easy to love somebody from a distance. It's easy to love somebody from a distance. So it's easy for you to come over here and act like, oh, hey, buddy, I just love him. Isn't he so cute? Because you're going to know you're going to leave him. You basically like the grandparent. I'm going to watch you for a day or for a night, a couple hours or two. But after that, I can send you right home. So I can love you a lot because I know I'm not permanently stuck with you. And that's a lot of times what happens with teachers. All those little things that be irritating, I guarantee you not. Any teacher who listens to this right now, they gonna relate. They know what I'm talking about. And if you're a teacher and you do this, stop doing it. It's irritating. But that's all this was just literally a rant about teaching. And some of the struggles that we go through. And what people expect from us. All the expectations we have with very little resources. Especially within the black community. Our black preschool system needs to be revamped. Overall, worldwide, the preschool system needs to be revamped. But they're already coming out with systems that cater to people with money. But for the ones who are on government, NCI, and stuff like that, we need just as much quality. People are doing early childhood education. People are creating these schools. But I still don't see the focus on the most crucial years of a child's life, which is from birth to 7. That is when their mind is creating all the neural whatever pathways, making all the connection as to how to maneuver through life. At that point, it's going to be about reprogramming and unlearning. So that's why it's harder as an adult to learn emotional regulation, to learn how to unlearn, to, let go of things that you've done for so long, unconsciously, subconsciously, whatever. But we need more emphasis on a education, especially with the emphasis on early childhood reform. Teaching them life skills, teaching them things that they're actually going to use in life, teaching them emotional regulation, teaching them about their own power, their innate power, and not necessarily about obedience, but understanding that there's a time and a place to do things. There are rules in life. There are laws in life. There are going to be moments when you're going to have discipline and structure, but there are also going to be moments when you should be able to be free and fun and have fun. But yeah, that's all I have to say for now. But yeah, keep God first. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving them. I love you guys. Peace out. So yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, I was talking to my husband and I was kind of having a stressful day, felt like spiritually defeated, not knowing where my career is going, where I'm going as a spiritual teacher, as a spiritual activist, and just the journey of being a mother, of being a preschool teacher, and just really trying to give and nurture the Black spirit without deflating it or disempowering or oppressing it can bring about a lot of emotions. And so my son, it's always your own that gives you the hardest time because you have a lot tied up into that child. Subconsciously, Black people feel like their child is a representation of them, a reflection of them. And to a certain extent, yes, that can be true. But there are what's the word I'm looking for? Exceptions. I've seen parents who beat their child every day and they still act up every day. I've seen parents who do nothing in disciplinary and their children are well behaved and great. And their parents are neglectful. There's just a spirit is a spirit. You don't own your child, so sometimes you have to let go and surrender and meet your child where they're at. And of course, that doesn't mean not have standards. As I always have to remind y'all, take everything with a grain of salt. You can sit here and waste your time dissecting and analyzing everything I say and say, well, no, not really. Or you can just listen to what I have to say, interpret it in your own divine way, how it resonates with you, and let the rest go. But I was just getting frustrated and just like, I'm tired of the spanking being the only solution, or it's like the only thing I can resort to, or I just want to find a way to get through to my son in ways of helping him with his aggressive behaviors, his lack of, basically, I don't like to use certain labels, but to help you guys understand, like the stubbornness, which is more of a strong-willed leader, powerful person, that spirit. But teaching him that he has to learn how to be a leader and know when to follow. As I talk about him, he's waking up out of his sleep. Crazy. But yeah, basically I was just talking to him about my frustrations and that there's already so many things out there in this world that are designed to disempower, defeat, control, box in. But yeah, guys, it's crazy. Every time I'm trying to do something, I swear, I don't truly understand the makings of why things happen when you're trying to do something, but whatever it is, it's annoying AF. But yeah, so it's like there's already so many things out in this world that are designed to make you forget who you are and what power you have. As I'm sitting on the toilet making this podcast, my 3-year-old peeks through the cracks. What is it? Oh my God, guys. Anyway, come. Nothing, I'm talking. But basically, so many things in this world that label us in ways that make us internalize so much. We come into this world into a psychological war in our minds, battling what we've been told we are versus what we know we are. The soul versus the mind. All of the conditioned and programmed roadblocks that have been put into place to prevent us from getting and reaching our ultimate and limitless power. And just being mindful of that within yourself and within parenting and teaching. You don't want to instill and continue this cycle of domination, control, oppression. Bottom line, we're closing the mind instead of opening it. We're closing the access to our soul, to our infinite power, versus accessing it. And I'm trying always to nurture and teach my son how to control his energy, channel his energy in healthier, productive ways. Overprotection leads to coddling, leads to enabling, leads to setting your child up for failure or rude awakening. This fuels lack of discipline, structure, accountability, all the things they will need for success. This is why a lot of us struggle so much to focus on one thing. And then, we carry, as the ancestral DNA wakes up, we have all of these gifts that we could tap into. And we don't know what really resonates with us. We don't know what's true to our heart, what to focus on. It's just so much to it, so many layers. We're very multifaceted, passionate people, so much energy, and we need that passion to keep our energy stimulated, to keep us stimulated. Or else we get bored, we lose interest, we lose focus. And that's the same with children. Children are mini ancestors, mini adults. And they deserve more grace than we do because they don't even truly understand what's going on within them. At least we can say, we don't really either, but we've had 30 years in our belt. What do they have? 3, 2, 5, 10? So you have to think about that. They have bad days. They have stress. They have anxiety. They just don't know how to label it. They're in the world too. Their energy, they feel energy. They feel the exile of society. This is why a lot of times they're very codependent, especially to the mothers, But, the black family and the black spirit, there's so much to it. And I almost hate talking about it on my platforms because I feel like sometimes people are just using it for research to find more ways to disempower us. And I will not be a pawn for anything that's malicious. But I know my intentions. And my intentions are that any word and wisdom that I get is so coded that the average person with malice intentions cannot interpret nor use it for evil gain. But as I think about it, I just start to build confidence knowing that black women are the original healers. the original teachers, we have the capabilities to raise our children in the right way. We just have to continue to gradually align with that higher self, with that knowledge, that wisdom, that inner knowing of what our child needs, giving them levels of independence, power, being their guide, not their tyrant, dictator, knowing when to lead and when to follow, letting go of the monster mentality that tells us everything is defiance and it's, and not just aspects of strong-willed leadership, power, the things we want our children to be there, but yet we're constantly putting roadblocks in there, sometimes intentionally, sometimes subconsciously. We're not always aware. And this isn't a shame on parents at all, because I'm in the boat with you. It's give yourself grace, It's a journey of incorporating new ways of parenting without losing the true essence of tradition and the things that make Black child care sought out. You have to think about movies like The Help. Think about preschools and how they're always trying to they're always trying to staff Black teachers. Why do you think that is? Why do you think other races, namely white, prefer Black people to raise their children? Because of the lessons that they learn when they're with them, because of the knowledge and the preparedness they have, like the ability to take care of themselves and survive, and just that wisdom that a lot of times you just can't get from teaching. Knowledge, intelligence, and wisdom are different things. They can be intertwined, but some things are just not necessarily teachable. You have to just tap into that and ask for that kind of wisdom, for that kind of knowledge. And speaking on knowledge, yeah, I'm going off topic, but I think I have a post about this, about confidence. But in building confidence, let go of shame of not knowing and understanding. A lot of us spiritual teachers, we use vocabulary or jargon that can be confusing or intimidating, and we're all in this swinging contest of who knows the biggest words, who knows the most history, who knows the most dates, who knows the most political news, who knows the most spiritual whatever, and sometimes that's not what your tribe is most 9 times out of 10 lacking the knowledge. So if you come to them already on level 35 and they haven't even read the first 2 pages of the book, how much of a success rate do you think you're going to have? There's a fine line as being a teacher that you have to understand, knowing how to bring down the notch of trying to prove, like conversations with your colleagues and fellow healers is different from conversations with your tribe. And just, we have to humble ourselves. I know a lot of times we want to, the ego is like, yeah, I'm smart too. But I've learned to stop trying to compete with people and seem smart when I know, just because I don't know what you know does not make me dumb, does not make me whatever. Because some people can have street smarts and have no book smarts, and that does not make them less than. And some people can have all the book smarts and wouldn't know how to tie their shoe if it's to save their life, or fix a meal to save their life. You know what I mean? So it's like everybody has something. Don't let people knock you down, because that's the total opposite of what a healer or teacher is supposed to be doing. Teachers and healers are not supposed to be spreading knowledge to make you feel dumb or less than. It's supposed to be spreading knowledge to empower, uplift, and educate you and elevate you. So, yeah, keep all that in mind. As always, keep God first. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving it. Love you guys. Peace out. So I have a couple of epiphanies today, and I just realized I'm like, oh, it is random rant or reflection Wednesday. It's crazy how your mind and your system has like a internal clock or memory within it. And so sometimes you don't even realize why you're doing something until you realize, oh, I always do this on Wednesdays, or I always do this on my birthday, or I always do this around this time of year. And it's just crazy how your body just remembers that, or I always feel this way around this time of year. And so that's just a little bit of wisdom right there. You can take that with how you want to. But I want to start off this thing with when you awaken, like there's a lot of aspects to it, but a big part of it is your perspective. And people are always talking about like your higher self and you know, that higher level of perspective. And for me, that encompasses basically love, seeing things from a place of love, seeing things from a place of confidence within your self-worth and sense of self. So it's like being able to just have this level of compassion for others, but also balancing it with knowing your worth, and you know that a lot of times some things are bigger than you, and not everything is to be taken personally. But yeah, let's get into it. So one thing I want to say too is that sometimes I think, like what I just mentioned earlier, that there's times of year where we feel this way or feel that way. But okay, for example, say a woman has PMS, right? And that's where she has mood swings, you know, around her cycle or whatever. And she may feel that she gets this way around PMS. But to be honest, that has just become a focal. There has been an emphasis on that time period within society. Like it's a conditioning, it's a programming within us. So it's like when you hear something, it's hard for your mind to detach from that level of knowledge, even though it may not be your truth. You know what I'm saying? So because people has always said, you know, when their women are on their periods, they're moody, they're this, they're angry, yada yada yada. It's hard to break away from that. It can be, but there's goods and bads to that. So you can use it. You can use this time as a place to reflect and, you know, do some introspection and like look within yourself and see like what's going on. But 9 times out of 10, the anger, the frustration, the mood swings, there's biological things, you know, hormonal issues, but it's also spiritual too. And there's things that you have not been addressing all month long. And that's what really is like come to a head. You know what I'm saying? Like now your hormones are so high or so unbalanced or whatever, and you're at a different state of tolerance, you're at a different state of strength, you're at a different state of whatever. So now that protector that, you know, maybe you think as shadow, that BITCH is coming out to protect you. She's coming out screaming now for you. I don't know if you guys watched the movie Venom, but Venom is kind of like the shadow self in a sense. And it's that sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. A lot of movies I feel like are playing on that voice within our head, but you got to be careful with how it's manipulating you. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't let it make you believe that you're this dark or evil person or you're this or that. No, we all have the capability of being dark or evil, but at the end of the day, you have to realize you have choice. That energy is always going to be out there. Like that duality is always going to be out there, but you have the right to choose and control what choices you make in life. You know what I'm saying? So understand there's a difference between telling somebody how you should be treated versus killing someone, physically harming someone, sexually abusing someone. You know, all these things that are common sense, like that we should be instilling in our child, that are totally off limits as of right or wrong, sins and, you know, good deeds. There is a right or wrong in certain things. There is a good and bad. There is sins out there. There is evil out there. And don't let people try to manipulate you and feel like, oh, you want to be free? Let yourself out. Let it out. Let that aspect of you out. No, everything does not need to be out. Everything is not you. Everything is not with your soul, with your heart, with your spirit. Some things are playing on the pain and the wounds and the, you know, disrespect or oppression or just anything that you've experienced that has been hurtful is playing on that and trying to make that shadow self, that the person that stands up or has a level of autonomy, fester into something worse than what it is. You know what I mean? So just be mindful of that. But I also want to get into, I talk about conscious parenting, but within conscious parenting, there's conscious teaching. Clearly, as a parent, you're innately a teacher. You're born that teacher to them. But it can be also for teachers, just in general, people who don't have kids or who do have kids, but people who teach actual children in a school system or setting. Just understand that, which I feel like there should be a lot more training within the school systems, because there's so much, like, I don't see, especially preschool, there needs to be a whole reform on the education system. Like, I don't see how this quote unquote educational system or indoctrination system can actually be as subpar as it is, knowing that from birth to the age of 7, our children's foundation is built. Their mind is like a sponge and like a recorder, sucking everything in, everything we instill in them as their truth, as their piggy bank per se, that they dip into when they need to, like a resource, their toolbox that they dip into when they need resources in life. What they think like that, what we say to them becomes their inner voice. And it's sad how there's so much of a lack of attention to that. And I want to get into today, I was kind of in a bad mood. I've been feeling like a lot of anger lately. And I don't really know where it's coming from. I don't know if it's just within the energy or within myself. I'm still on a journey just like everybody else. And I noticed that my son, he's energetically connecting me. He's feeling a lot of anger, and he's acting on his through more aggressive behaviors with me and his classmates and everything. And I have to remind myself constantly that he's like a mini adult. How I react to his behavior is going to shape his reaction. And what I want to tell all you adults and teachers out there is, I know it's easy to look at a child's behavior through the eyes of an adult, but what we have to understand is our eyes have been conditioned and programmed in a lot of dysfunctional, ignorant, unhealthy ways. And not all of them are bad, but sometimes we have to realize that we do have to unlearn, and in order to relearn, so we can break the cycles that have made us internalize so many, feelings that are inferior, like inferiority, just low self-image, sense of self, So, you may see your child acting aggressively, being what we think, and then, based on their behavior, we're quick to label them. Oh, they're bad. They're evil. They're stingy. Oh, they're bougie. They're all these labels we learn as children, as we're growing up. And, that's kind of just innately human to label things and to try to put it in a box and categorize it, because sometimes it makes things easier, but sometimes it complicates things, because it's sometimes deeper than that. And children, they have the same needs as adults. They just don't understand their needs until we put a label on, until we teach them what those things are. We have to literally explain what everything is to them so that they can understand and start making more better choices once they discover their independence and autonomy and sovereignty, whatever you want to call it, their personal power. And so if you see a child hitting and you just start going to stop being bad, you're this, you're a bully, you're whatever, instead of trying to figure out what it is. Oh, they want attention. Oh, they're not feeling love right now. Oh, they're feeling abandoned. Or oh, they're feeling like, no one wants to be their friend, or they're having a lot of anger within themselves and they don't know what to do with that anger, but to release it onto somebody else. So if you don't give them another option, here, you can punch this pillow. Here, you can scream. We're outside. Go ahead. Here, you can run around. Here, you can go. Let's go to let's go use the punching bag. Let's go take some deep breaths, like some big ones, and you know what I mean, or whatever. You want to wrestle, like whatever. Like you come up and you use your own personal judgment, but instead of just, I know as a human, come on, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Do I lose it sometimes, and do I teeter back to that old way of parenting? Yes. And honestly, when I say old way, that doesn't mean all of the things from the old way is bad. But do I sometimes do some of the things that I innately, like naturally go to? Yes. And then, but I'm big on making up for it. If I feel like I've lost my temper, or I did some things that I didn't want to do, I was in a heated moment, or I was frustrated, or my tolerance was thin, or I was in a stressful moment. So I kind of, didn't have the patience as I normally would, then I will go back and, talk to them and reassure them that I love them and whatever. Anytime you discipline your child or a student, please make sure to let them know that the love that you have for them is unconditional, because you don't know if you're the only person that's ever telling them that. And you have to continue to fill their cup up with positive things, because there's going to be enough people draining that cup with negative. You get what I'm saying? So your job is to give them a foundation stern and firm enough, whereas to where that they have enough tools and enough strength in that foundation to withstand what I call the tornado of life. You know what I'm saying? So just be aware of that and just understand that they want control, power, attention, love, just like we do. And a lot of the behaviors that they do is what I call the iceberg effect. I know I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but it's basically where the things you see, the behavior you see is usually a buildup of a lot of different things that are underneath. Like if you think of an iceberg, it's a big chunk of ice. And when you're sailing in a boat, all you see is that like tip of it. But you have no idea that it's about 100 feet of ice at the bottom of it that you can't see. So it's like all that area that's on the bottom is underlying issues. It could be frustration. It can be tiredness. It can be sensory overload, like overstimulation. It can be needing to feel seen, needing connection, And on the outside, all you see is hitting, kicking, punching, screaming, crying, whatever. And that behavior is usually unfavorable because it's hard to take. It could be embarrassing. It can be overwhelming for you as a human. We have emotions too, and sometimes crying, screaming, hitting, kicking, that's hard on us, But I just want you to understand and just kind of try to come back to center and balance. And when you're doing your disciplining or teaching, make every moment a teaching moment. Teach them things about their behavior, help them understand that, do you think this person feels good when you do that? Give them solutions, like I mentioned earlier, what they can do to release or calm or exert that energy. There's multiple options. Maybe their energy needs to be calmed. Maybe their energy needs to be exerted. Maybe their energy needs to be released. Whatever. You have to do that. And also, start giving your children releasing baths. Like put some Epsom salts in there, pray over it, what your intentions are. Help them release the energies of the day, especially if they're around a lot of kids. They're immersed in a lot of energy. That energy is hard for them too. In the same way I came into work a little ag, my son came into school ag. But the only difference is I'm old enough to know what I can and can't do. Maybe I was taught in another way. Maybe I was taught with threats. Whatever way, that's what I say, I don't judge. Whatever way, either way it goes, I know what's right and what's wrong. Maybe my Christian roots taught me, this is behavior you don't do, this is sinful, whatever you want to say, whatever you may want to judge. But at the end of the day, some things do need a little fear in its heart to know that this ain't finna cut it. I'm going to teach you that that's not you, and I'm going to teach you solutions, and I'm going to teach you this and that. But at the end of the day, I'm going to let you know what my boundaries are and what my restrictions are. And there's a cause and effect. There's always going to be an action, and not every action, but some actions are going to require consequences. And these are basic life skills. Try to focus on life skills with your children, because a lot of things that they're teaching is not focusing on life skills. And these are important because guess what? They're called life skills. That's one thing they're going to have for the rest of their life. So I feel like that's something that really should be emphasized in school and in parenting. But yeah, I'm not saying this as it's coming from a judgmental place. I'm just sharing what I feel and what, the epiphanies that I have as a teacher, as a mother, as a friend, sister, whatever. All the things I've put together and from my life and from my experience. And no, I'm not perfect. No, I'm not a perfect parent. I'm probably not even like half of these perfect parents online who, preach the gentle parenting, yada, yada, yada. Because like I said, I don't do everything like they do. I still have my, whatever you want to call black mama voice. I still say, boy, I'm not playing with you. he know I can get him right real quick. So you can say what you want to say about me, but I'm just keeping it real. And I'm trying to be authentic and transparent, but also let you guys know that there is a balance. And as long as you keep coming back to center of love, unconditional love, and trying to help them understand that they are not their behaviors, they're not their actions, they're not those things that may seem disturbing to us, but we as parents have to understand and find solutions and ways that they can release those emotions and behaviors and channel them into more positive, healthy ways. But yeah, that's all I want to say as of now. Keep God first. Be open to receiving all the peace, love, light, and healing energies I'm giving you guys. Peace out. I want to talk about the world and being in a freaking asylum and how it can affect the perfectionists and the overachievers and the people who really pride themselves in being this good person, like how it can affect the inner dialogue. For one, inner dialogue is basically direct messages to your soul, to your spirit, to your mind, to your heart. And the way you talk to yourself really does impact you and how you feel about yourself. And in so many aspects of yourself, it affects your self-worth, esteem, your self-confidence, your self-love, all those things. But there's so much in this new age spirituality, everyone's sharing their perspectives and how they feel about this and that out there, and their level of magnetism and how they can attract people makes them feel valid. But, and we listen to them and they're constantly fueling us with stuff that makes us feel shame, guilt, all these low emotions and keeping our vibration down. And all it does is fuel us with these negative self-talk, this poor inner dialogue. And when you think about like the new gentle parenting, like that is making the people who are healing through their own processes, going through poverty, going through all these other stressors, like beat themselves up. And I'm not talking abuse of just horrible parents. I'm talking about parents who just, they do discipline their children, some traditional ways and some new ways. Maybe still give their kids spankings every now and then. But it's like you fuel them with so much shame that now they're beating themselves up and they're thinking that they're not good enough and they're not good parents and this and that. All this stuff that is programming, all this programming that we have that is basically affecting a person's inner dialogue and self-worth and self-love and all those other things I just mentioned. So yeah, I just want y'all to just be mindful of that and just realize, like, you're not here to be perfect. You are human. You're going to make mistakes. And I don't care how gentle of a parent you are, how perfect of a parent you are. That does not mean your child's not going to grow up to commit crimes. Does not mean your child's going to grow up to not hate you at the end of it all. Not grow up to feel like you didn't do enough or this and that. It doesn't mean that. So what I say, the rule of thumb is try your best to do your best by your child and give them the things that they need the most, which is love, time, and nurturance. And so that's just the main thing. You got to like create rule of thumbs, you know what I'm saying? Because when you don't, then you start getting pulled in every direction. I also wanted to, speaking on stuff like that they can manipulate you in life. When you have a strong energy, you have to ask yourself, is your energy being used or respected? And 9 times out of 10, because of how this world is, how we are programmed as humans, it's going to be used. And not all the time intentionally, like consciously being used. Sometimes we're subconsciously taking advantage of people because we're lacking in some way. So we just lean on them more and not necessarily out of intentional malice, but it just happens to be like that. But this specifically, I want us to focus on the strong person, the strong friend, the strong teacher, the strong whatever, but specifically the strong teacher. I'm sorry that you get all the kids with educational and developmental deficiencies. I'm sorry that you get the kids with all the behavior issues, and that you have to spend the majority of your time managing your classroom and, getting order to try to teach any lesson, and you barely get to do what you are passionate about. I'm sorry that you have to go through that. But what I want you to know is that you're not mean. You're not a bad teacher. You are doing enough. You are worthy. And I'm sorry that you feel taken advantage of. I'm sorry that you feel used. I'm sorry that you feel that you don't feel validated enough, that you don't feel compensated enough. Just know this doesn't have to be the end. And you can move forward into a place that does recognize and respect your energy. But that's all I have to say on that right now.